Diving in again. This time, it's system testing. And we're going deep, not just the what, but the why it matters to all of us.
Yeah, and we've got some real-world stuff to dig into.
Right. This article, what is system testing? Types with example. Sounds like it gets into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
what I find interesting is most people, they think testing is just like find the bugs, right?
Hmm.
But system testing, it's almost like quality assurance for the whole experience, you know?
Oh, okay.
Like the final check to make sure all those code bits, all the updates, even like external gadgets, they all play nice from the user's point of view.
So, like, I'm picturing, say, a banking app. It can't just do the math, right?
Nope.
It's got to connect to my phone model, handle everyone banking at rush hour. It'd
Exactly.
be easy enough for my grandma to use.
It's all of that, yeah. That's why it's called black box testing.
Black box.
We're not looking at the code itself at this stage, just how the finished thing behaves, in real world situations.
Okay, I get the analogy, but the article, it mentions validating the fully integrated software product.
Right.
What's that in, like, plain English?
Think of building a house. You don't just check each brick strong enough, right?
Uh-huh.
You got to make sure the walls stand up, roof doesn't leak, plumbing works when you turn that faucet on.
Oh, okay.
System testing is that big picture check, but for software. All the parts from code chunks to like external databases gotta be playing nice.
So less about tiny code errors, more about the software as a whole delivering what the user expects.
You got it. And to really appreciate that, it helps to see where system testing fits in the whole software development thing.
Right, because there's a whole process, yeah.
Oh, tons of steps. Starts with unit testing, where developers check each little code block, almost like inspecting each brick for strengths.
And then it's integration testing, isn't it? Like making sure those bricks actually form a wall, not a pile of rubble.
Precisely. And it's only after that that system testing takes over, looking at the entire structure house, plumbing, the whole shebang to see if it's livable.
Makes sense?
But even then, there's acceptance testing, where real users get to try it out, give feedback, before, the grand opening.
So it's layers upon layers to make sure this software is rock solid. But speaking of layers, the article mentions over 50 types of system testing.
Oh, yeah.
How do they even keep track of all that?
Don't worry, we won't go through all 50. We'll stick to the most common ones that, the big companies actually use.
Okay, that's a relief. So give me an example. What's one that, like, impacts us everyday users directly?
Usability testing is a big one. Remember when, what was it, Popular App website did that redesign? Everyone hated it?
Oh, yeah.
That's what usability testing tries to prevent. They get real people to use the software and just watch how they do, see if it's intuitive.
Oh, that's smart. Like getting feedback from, like, diners at your restaurant before the menu's final.
Exactly. What else do they test for? Well, load testing. That's another crucial one.
Load testing, right?
Imagine a new game comes out and suddenly, boom, millions of players all try to log on at once.
Oh, yeah.
If those servers can't handle it, game over. Literally.
Makes sense.
Load testing simulates that, like a traffic surge.
Oh, so that's why sometimes new websites are all buggy on launch day.
Could be, yeah, if they underestimated the load.
Right.
Now think about when you update like your phone's operating system, you expect it to make things better, not suddenly break stuff you were already using, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's where regression testing comes in.
So it's like making sure renovations to your house didn't accidentally break the plumbing.
Exactly. New code changes. They can't be introducing new bugs or
Yeah.
bringing back old ones.
Okay, that one's critical for my sanity for sure.
Yeah.
What other tests help us avoid those digital disasters?
Imagine this. Power outage hits while you're working on some important document.
Oh, no.
Computer reboots. What happens?
Yeah.
Does all your work just vanish?
The worst.
Or does the software, recover gracefully? That's recovery testing.
I hadn't thought of that.
Making sure it can bounce back from the unexpected.
Makes you appreciate how much goes into making software reliable.
Right. And then there's the stuff we're all familiar with. Moving data to new devices.
Oh, yeah. Transferring contacts, photos, all that.
Nightmare if it goes wrong. Migration testing is all about making sure the software can move to a new environment smoothly.
Like to a new server or a whole different operating system.
Exactly. Without losing data or having compatibility issues.
Huge relief to know they're testing for that. I'm guessing there are tests specifically to make sure the software, does what it's supposed to do.
You're thinking of functional testing.
Right. Beyond just surviving crashes and moves.
This one digs deep into features, functions, making sure each one works as intended.
Okay.
Imagine like a calculator app. If the plus button actually triggered channel change on your TV, that'd be a functional fail.
Oh, that's a clear analogy.
Uh,
But software doesn't exist in isolation, right? It's running on actual physical hardware.
Absolutely. And there's a test for that interaction too, hardware-software testing,
Of course there is.
making sure they can, like, talk to each other without spitting out gibberish.
So compatibility check for the physical and digital worlds working together.
You got it. And with so many different devices and operating systems out there, that testing is crucial for everyone.
But with this many types of system testing, how do developers even choose which ones to use? That seems like a whole challenge in itself. It's clear that this system testing is, like, essential, right, to make sure software is good quality.
Oh, yeah.
But with tech changing so fast, I'm kind of curious, what's next for this whole field? The article didn't really get into that.
Ah, that's a great question. Because system testing, it's not sitting still. It has to keep up with how software is made too, and the challenges, right? One of the biggest things on the horizon, gotta be AI, artificial intelligence.
AI is everywhere these days.
Mm-hmm.
But how does that impact software testing? It's not like you can ask a chatbot, hey, are you buggy?
Right. It's way more complex than with, traditional software. Because AI systems, they learn, they adapt their behavior. It's not always going to be predictable.
That makes sense.
So we need new strategies, new tools to even evaluate how they perform in, like, all sorts of situations, especially the ones we don't expect.
So instead of checking for, like, a right or wrong answer, it's more about how the AI learns and makes decisions over time.
You got it. And that opens up all sorts of new questions.
Like what?
How do you make sure an AI is making ethical decisions? How do you keep bias out of those algorithms? That's where system testing has to really step up.
That's wild. It's almost like evaluating how a student is learning, not just grading your final exam.
Great analogy. And speaking of changing things up, another trend hitting system testing is this whole agile and DevOps thing.
I've heard those terms, but
Yeah. They're all about speed and flexibility. Software's made in these short bursts with releases happening all the time.
so testing's got to keep up with that pace, right?
Exactly. There's no time for those, like, super long testing phases we used to have. So what are we seeing? Rise in test automation. Repetitive stuff gets handled by software so human testers can focus on the tricky strategic stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. So less manual work, more brain power needed.
Right. And there's this huge emphasis now on continuous testing.
Continuous meaning.
Software's evaluated throughout the whole development process, not just at the very end.
So it's not like a quality check only when the product is finished. It's more like checks all along the way.
Exactly. Catch those issues early, fix them early, no scrambling at the last minute.
So it sounds like system testing is becoming more and more a part of, like, the DNA of how software gets made.
Oh, absolutely. As software gets more complex, more integrated into our lives, relying more on AI, quality is paramount. And system testing, it's leading the charge on that.
So for our listener out there, the person using all this software daily, why should they care about this behind-the-scenes stuff?
Think about the apps you use every day, right? Banking, social media, maps, games. You expect them to just work. System testing, it's the unsung hero making that happen.
It's like the invisible force field keeping us safe from digital disaster. We may not see it, but we definitely feel the effects when it's working right.
That's it. And as software gets even more woven into our lives, self-driving cars, personalized medicine, the whole 9-yard system testing's role is only getting bigger.
This has been eye-opening, really. I'm walking away with a whole new respect for how complex and how important system testing really is.
Glad to hear it. And hopefully you'll remember, behind every app that just works, there's a team of testers who made sure of it.
Right, working tirelessly behind the scenes. But before we wrap up, got to leave our listener with something to chew on.
All right, lay it on me.
All these trends, these challenges. What's the future of system testing? How does it have to adapt to keep up with how fast software is changing?
It's a thrilling time to be in this field, that's for sure. As we figure out AI, this need for speed, software getting more and more intricate, system testing, it'll need new tools, new strategies, even new ways of thinking to stay ahead.
So listeners, keep those eyes peeled, those minds curious, because the future system testing, it's going to be just as wild and innovative as the software it's protecting us from. Until next time, happy exploring.